All right, let's get right into this. We're talking about an action-packed thriller, where just a regular hospital visit completely explodes into a full-blown crisis. We're going to break down how a single event can just spiral out of control, pitting one man against an entire squad of trained mercenaries.
So, picture this. You're at the hospital, you're about to take your wife home, everything seems totally normal. And then, out of nowhere, gunfire. The power starts to flicker, your cell phone has no service, and just like that, you're completely cut off from the entire outside world. And listen, this isn't some random act of violence. Oh no, this is a calculated, meticulously planned takeover.
I mean, in a matter of minutes, the whole building is on lockdown. You've got heavily armed men, and they're moving with this scary military precision, disabling all the security systems and just systematically taking control of every single floor. Suddenly, hundreds of patients, doctors, and visitors are hostages, and they don't even know why.
But see, here's the thing. All this chaos, it isn't random at all. The lockdown, the show of force, it's all just a big smokescreen. The entire siege, the whole operation, it actually centers on one single high-value patient, a man who was brought to the hospital under some really extreme and, frankly, mysterious circumstances. And that man's name is Ajay Pal Singh. He's this notorious arms dealer, right? And his pacemaker was remotely manipulated to fail. Think about that. That's what forced this emergency transfer from a super high-security prison to Green Hills. His arrival is the trigger. It's the only reason this is all happening. And of course, the hundreds of innocent people trapped inside, they have absolutely no idea.
So, as the crisis just gets more and more intense, and the police start surrounding the building, four key figures really emerge from the chaos. They're at the absolute center of this deadly game, and believe me, each one has their own agenda.
Okay, so let's look at our board. On the inside, you've got Vivan Ahuja, an MMA trainer who really just wants to get his wife to safety. He's going up against Saju, the ruthless mastermind who's leading this whole operation to get their target, Ajay Pal Singh. And then, on the outside, you have ACP Jayati Bhargav, the determined cop who's desperately trying to piece this all together and stop a total massacre. Now, trapped in all this chaos, separated from his wife and Shika, one man decides he can't just sit on the sidelines. He can't just wait for a rescue that might come way too late or, maybe not at all. And that man is Vivan. He's just an ordinary guy, really, but with some pretty extraordinary skills. He realizes he's the only one who can actually make a difference from the inside. So he begins this one-man war, using his combat training and his knowledge of the hospital's layout to just start wrecking the terrorists' perfectly crafted plans. And he's smart about it. He doesn't just charge in, guns blazing. He starts small, takes down a lone terrorist in the basement. That move lets him grab an MP5 and, way more importantly, this black pouch with some critical intel inside. From there, he just methodically starts dismantling their surveillance and manages to create a lifeline to the police on the outside. So while Vivan is fighting his own war on the inside, ACP Bhargav is trying to negotiate with Saju. Saju starts making these huge public demands, a helicopter on the roof, an armored bus at the front gate. But here's the twist. It's all a complete and total lie.
What the terrorists are doing is a textbook case of misdirection. I mean, it's a brilliant psychological tactic, really. You create this huge, obvious problem for your enemy to focus all their attention on, right? That way, they don't even think to look for the real plan that's unfolding right under their noses.
So, while the entire police force is gearing up for this massive showdown on the rooftop and at the main gate, Saju's team is planning something way, way quieter. Their actual escape route? A service shaft. One used for laundry that runs from the 6th floor all the way down to the basement.
And their schedule is down to the minute. It's so precise. At exactly 11 p.m., bam, they detonate explosives at all the main entry points, just to create maximum chaos. And while the police are scrambling to respond to that, the team slips into the laundry shaft and they're gone, out through the sewer system in under 20 minutes. It's genius.
But there's one tiny variable they didn't account for, Vivan. Because he's now talking to ACP Bhargav, he completely exposes the laundry shaft plan. He shatters their perfect little escape route and forces Saju into a final, really desperate confrontation. And that's when the stakes become deeply, deeply personal. Saju knows that the black pouch Vivan grabbed earlier has the remote detonators for his big diversion. So, to get them back, he goes after Vivon's one and only weakness, his wife, Anshika. He takes her hostage up on the 9th floor, basically creating a direct one-on-one standoff.
But Vivon, in this absolutely brilliant countermove, he just completely flips the script. He realizes, wait a minute, if Ajay Pal Singh's pacemaker could be hacked to get him into the hospital, it can be hacked again. So he finds the device's unique ID number and gives Saju this chilling ultimatum. You surrender or I stop your target's heart, right now. Wow.
So this begs the question, why is this one guy, Ajay Pal Singh, so important? Why risk everything for him? Well, this number is the answer, 18. It stands for the 18 Indian soldiers who died in combat. Why? Because of faulty weapons and gear supplied by Singh's corrupt cartel. So for some, this isn't just about escape, it's about justice.
With both sides now at a total stalemate, the final showdown just becomes this brutal, frantic race against the clock. Vivon has to fight his way through Saju's remaining men to rescue Anshika and make sure that arms dealer never ever escapes justice.
After a brutal, knockdown, drag-out fight, he neutralizes Saju and his crew and finally corners Ajay Pal Singh. But instead of letting him be captured, Vivon executes him, framing it as a necessary act of self-defense, and in his own way, he's avenging those fallen soldiers. So in the end, the siege is over. All the hostages are rescued, the terrorist threat is gone, but the story doesn't quite stop there. A found file leads to the complete takedown of Ajay Pal Singh's entire weapons cartel. And the news reports, they just talk about some mysterious, anonymous hero inside the hospital who saved everyone.
And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? Vivon saved hundreds of lives, and he brought down a corrupt network that the system itself couldn't seem to touch. But he also took justice into his own hands. He was judge, jury, and executioner. It really makes you stop and wonder, what would you do in his place when the lines get that blurry?